Hi, and welcome to One Man's Journey. I'm your host, and I'm here to give you reviews on everyday stuff that you and I both use as everyday people. And hopefully, it'll be useful, start a conversation, and ultimately a community where we can all share our ideas. Without any further ado, let's get into the first review of the channel. And for that, I have a multi-tool. We all love multi-tools. This one's a bit different. This one, as you can see, comes in a strange leather pouch. It's used. I picked it up a few months ago in a car boot sale, or what you're not sure what Americans would call it. And it's pretty interesting. If you know anything about these, please do drop me a message because I know very little, and the internet is telling me basically nothing about this other than that it was manufactured in Japan and that it's quite rare. So should we have a look? There we go. How weird is that? Isn't that a funky shape? It's kind of like, the Swiss card by Victorinox? It's kind of like that, except stainless steel, thicker, and it's like all one piece. But it's a similar shape, and I guess the intention's kind of the same. As you can see, it says Mistral there, which is stamped, and stainless steel, patent pending. That's about it. Very little other information on this tool, but it is quality. Stainless steel, it's really robust. It kind of reminds me of those old cameras from the Soviet era, or from the East Germany, that kind of thing. Really, really solid. So let's look into it, see what we can see. Let's start with the blade. Opens like so. As you can see, it's a pretty decent shape. Decent kind of spring mechanism there, so it's not going to fold on you too easily. It takes an edge okay. I wouldn't say it's amazing. It's kind of a bit like a Swiss Army knife, maybe not quite as easy to sharpen, and it does lose the edge quite quickly. Again, quite like a Swiss Army knife, but it's a good blade. It's useful, and it's got this little notch here that you use to open it, which also kind of acts as a choil. So when you're holding it and using it, it's not actually that hard to use. It's okay. I know obviously it's not as easily manageable as a penknife kind of shape, but it works. So that's the blade. Close that up. Kind of, I guess we go to this because it's associated with the blade. You're probably looking at this thinking, what is that? That is a sharpening stone. You take it out like so, and you can use that to sharpen your blade, which is pretty sweet. I mean, is it really that functional? I don't know. Probably not. It's a bit of a novelty, really. But how many tools do you see that have a sharpening blade built in? And I can see how you could use it, because as you're using this little penknife blade, and you perform a task you think, might have kind of taken the edge off it, you can just take this out, touch it up quickly, and kind of keep it sharp. I don't think it's really good for sharpening something that's just completely dull. But once you got it fairly sharp, you might be able to use this to just keep, maintaining that edge and keep a decent edge on a blade in your pocket all the time. So that's pretty cool. Around the other side, we have a saw. Now, this is probably the smallest saw I've seen on any multi-tool ever. And not that I've seen a great deal. I'm by no means an expert, in case you're wondering. But it's tiny. Look at it. I mean, I have very small hands, which are perfect for, not getting in the way of items being reviewed. But that's only about 2 inches, maybe less, that whole thing. And the actual bit that you can saw with is much less than that. So maybe you could use it for notching. I've heard people talk about that, like as for making wilderness traps or whatever. You could do that. Not that I know anything about that. But other than that, yeah, I'm not so sure. This here looks like, I don't know, for removing fish hooks or something like that. Yeah, interesting. The very few other ones like this I've seen pictures of on the internet, they don't have this. This is the only one I've seen that has this. Most of them have scissors, which would be way more useful, but I guess I've got the rarity factor in my favor. Up here, we've got a can opener. Not sure how well this works, haven't tested it. Don't have many cans in the house, but when I do, I'll definitely let you know what that's like. a flathead screwdriver, which I don't know how useful that's going to be really. I mean, it doesn't have much reach, first of all. It's quite narrow. Maybe you could do some Phillips head screwdrivers with it as well, which is the plus. Downside is it'll kind of mash up wider flathead screwdrivers. So it's okay to have in your pocket, but not that useful. Not as useful, I'd say, as a Swiss Army knife or anything like that. And what's really interesting is this. This is another cool feature. What we've got here is a magnifying glass, and it's a really clear magnifying glass. I don't know if you can really see, but it works very well. And yeah, useful for seeing splinters, maybe lighting a fire if you really needed to. But it's built right into the frame, so it is really solid, and that's pretty cool. What else have we got going on here? We've got a little file area here. And then on the other side, so this is kind of a brushed stainless steel here, not very reflective. The other side is very reflective. And as you can see, it's basically like a mirror polish. And then you've got these kind of ingrained stamps which give you centimeters and inches top and bottom, little rulers. I actually think it's so polished and so clean. I reckon you could use this as a signaling mirror if you had to. Finally, you got this, and this is a bottle opener, cap opener. So there you are. Isn't that a funky little tool? I haven't really seen anything about these, so if you know anything more about these, do let me know. I think it's pretty cool. I've been carrying it for a little while. Let's do positives and negatives and what it's useful for before we go. Positives. It is pretty flat. When it's in its little case, it fits really nicely in your jeans pockets, or the little pocket within your jeans pocket fits in really nicely in there. Again, my hands are kind of small, so I'm making this bigger than it probably is. You can definitely do that. It is really solid, well made, which is good. I mean, this could be 20, 30 years old, but it looks really solidly made. It's unique. So that's something I really like about it. I'm sure you can pick these up on eBay now and again because I have seen them come up before. And it's funky. It's a real talking point. Another thing that really doesn't apply to you American guys, but over here in the UK, knives are frowned upon greatly. Especially anything that looks remotely tactical or militaristic. I mean, I think they're cool, but if you're carrying one around here, you're going to get a lot of funny looks and you can put people on edge a little bit. If you pull out like a Spyderco that may be UK legal, it just, people recognize it as a kind of tactical kind of looking knife. Swiss Army knives are much better, and this is equally good because it doesn't look really anything like a knife, even when you have it out. And it's actually a talking piece. People have we've sat and had conversations about what this could be, who made it, what its primary use was for, that kind of thing, because it does look like a strange kind of steampunk kind of design, with the stamps and the stainless steel and everything. So that's definitely plus. Downsides are it's pretty weighty for what it is. It's quite heavy because it's solid stainless steel. Like old things, it's going to be a little heavier. The tool selection isn't amazing. This, I don't know how useful that is. This, as I said, not much reach on it, not that great. This is a little gimmicky, maybe, the sharpening stone. The blade, I think, is actually really good. I'm happy with the blade, but the saw, I'm not so sure how useful the saw is. Probably not that useful. So the tool, the tools aren't amazing, but I guess that's just a compromise with the design. Also, it's not that practical in the sense that because it's got sharp edges along the top here, you kind of have to carry it in the case. You can't really just stick it in your pocket, So if, because you'll forget it, and then you'll just stab yourself at some point off these ends. So if you're doing cutting tasks kind of like on-off over the course of an hour or two, and you kind of want to have the knife handy, but you don't want to have the blade out, it's not like you can close the blade and then stick this in your pocket because it will stick into you. You kind of have to put it back in here, and next time you use it, take it out, and so on. But if you're into like the habit of just looking cool because you're taking this out of a leather case all the time, then I guess you're okay. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed the review. Please leave your comments below. Tell me anything you know about this, if you think it's cool or not, why it's not made anymore, or if it is still made, where people can get it if they're interested. I'd really love to hear from you. And as this is the very first review, let me know what you'd like changed. What was good? What was bad? Help me develop. And let's have a conversation about it in our little community. Thank you very much for your time and have a great day.